going on, everybody? Welcome in to the North End Podcast, episode 228. My name is Zach Graham, your host here in the North End, joined, as always, by my good buddy. He's on record as my best friend. His name is Ian Michaud, and we call him E. He's sitting here on a Thursday, Austin, Texas, coming off another draw in the league, this time against Real Salt Lake on a weather-delayed Wednesday night. How you feeling, my friend?
I'm pissed, man. That was the angriest I feel like I've walked out of there in a long time. You know, maybe the El Paso game, but we still won. So, like, I wasn't completely furious. But, like, the Minnesota game, I was defeated, I feel like, just resigned to the fact that they were better than us and they kicked our ass last night. But last night I was pissed. I think when the final whistle blew, I took my scarf and like smashed it on front of the seat in front of me and said a couple selective words, and it was just like, we should get out of here. And then I think you and I tried to get out of there as quickly as possible because I was really upset. We're getting to the end of this month now. We got 2 days left. Obviously San Diego coming up here, and started in second place, and here you are in 10th, and that does not give me a lot of happiness for sure.
Yeah, man. I mean, when you're like, I was the most mad I've been walking out of there in a long time, I immediately thought, what, in like 3 weeks?
Yeah. Yeah.
But goddamn, man. We'll talk about all that, man. We got a lot to get to here today. Mm-hmm. Very quick turnaround to the San Diego match on Saturday night. We've also got some Austin FC 2 action scheduled for Friday. Copita Tejas with Dyna Dos coming to town. We'll preview that match. And we'll talk about some other pieces of Austin FC news. Before we get into episode 228 here, just want to remind you all listening or watching on the YouTube channel that the best way to support the show, or you can support us financially, by downloading the audio versions of our episodes. Wherever you get your podcast, you can toggle on auto downloads. That will support the show going forward, and you won't have to think about it again. You go the extra mile, rate and review the show wherever you get your podcast. And if you are watching on the YouTube channel, hitting the subscribe button helps us grow the show. You can hit the notification bell to know when a live stream pops up or a new episode goes live. And of course, here on episode 228, hit the thumbs up, like the video, help us battle the YouTube algorithm overlords, atone for your sins. Wash yourselves clean in the waters of the North End. So, the one thing that I came away from last night that is consistent with every trip to the Q this season is that outside of the result, I had a great fucking time.
It happens every time.
I mean, it's good people. We're, again, meeting additional folks who are listeners of the show. So shout out to Sarah, who told us she had actually brought us a beer before, courtesy of our friend Jesse, who we saw again last night. So shout out to Sarah. Shout out to Jesse once again, because he had some extra Lexus Club tickets. So like we had those in addition to ours. So, we get a couple halftime snacks and things like that. It's fantastic. So great to see them. Great to see everybody else. TJ, Alex and his family, Aaron and Lizzie, right? No fudge last night. Damon showed up just by himself there. So, and of course the Pirates manning things down there by the goal, who I think Rafa Cabral was maybe going back and forth with the Pirates a little bit last night in the first half.
Noticed it right away, honestly, and was like, oh shit, yeah, let's go, let's get him, because I walked into that game saying this is 3 points. We are absolutely better than this team. This is the get right spot. This is where you should score multiple goals in a matchup. This is the club to do it against. You were asking me as we're walking into the stadium, like, where's your chance to get this second multiple goal game in MLS? And I was like, it's right fucking here, right now, and squandered. But yes, Sarah, wonderful to meet you. I don't know
and the kids, right? Yep. Charlie and June, I believe.
Correct.
I don't know. I was hiding my emotions with a smile, I think, at that point.
Trying to be friendly as possible. But I don't know what state I was in when you brought us the first beers the first time, but zero recollection of that.
We didn't remember. So
yeah. And obviously Jesse, man, what a dude. Got my brother set up to go on a fishing trip with him eventually.
Oh, sick.
In the process of that. So if you want to join, I no longer, I quit fishing. I'm retired. And vegetarianism leaking into my hobbies as well. But I will go on the boat and have a couple beers and watch some dudes fish. For sure, I'll definitely do that. But thanks so much, Jesse, man. And look, man, I felt really bad about not shouting you out the first time we saw you this season. So glad we got to reconnect and see you there. Thanks so much, buddy.
So we had a couple pieces of news as well. So wrapping up the weekend, John Kolmanich makes it onto Team of the Match Day for his game-tying goal. I think that's the first time we've seen John on a Team of the Match Day graphic over his 4+ years here in Austin. And look, man, in the starting lineup too.
Yeah,
they got to get that Audi Goals logo in there for him. So well-deserved.
Yeah, that is absolutely fantastic. And there's Griffin Dorsey still fucking balling, huh? Still balling.
And then last night's matches, we already have the Team of the Match Day from the midweek. So Diego Rubio does make the bench. So congrats to Diego on that. Of course, we will discuss Diego once we get into this match. But we do have, of course, another international break approaching here, So a trio of call-ups to discuss. As we get there, Mirtu Izuni called up to the Albanian national team. They've got another pair of World Cup qualifiers coming up. I think Serbia and Latvia are on the schedule here on June 7th and June 10th. So that will be on the day of our Colorado match away next Saturday, if I remember the schedule correctly. And then the Tuesday after that will be the 2 games that Mirtu will be suited up for his national team. So, man, with a bye week following Red Bull on the 14th, I don't know if it's maybe not better for Mirtu just to stay over there, hang out with his family, get to know his I don't know. But from what we know of him, I think if I had to put money on it right now, he's going to be back here suited up against Red Bulls. But I wouldn't be surprised either way and wouldn't fault him either way. With everything that's how much he has sputtered out of the gate here in his Austin FC tenure.
Yeah, I mean, we get this news, and obviously we're chatting about it, and my first thought was, obviously, congratulations, awesome to go and do that. Yeah. But I also thought maybe just a way to get yourself removed from this right now, go ahead, see some loved ones, kind of get back into a better mental space, and then come back refreshed. I hope that's how it goes. I hope that he can stay healthy, and I hope that he can feel a little bit better about himself and seeing his family and everything, and then come back to us with a refreshed look. So I hope that's how it goes, but congrats to him nonetheless.
Yeah, maybe go get a goal against the Latvians or something, take that, Tingus Pingus. That'll get you going. We also had another pair of call-ups. Micah Burton called up to the U.S. U18s here for this international break, and Irvin Torres called up, or I think Micah U19s rather, Irvin U18s, and they're going, I believe, internationally here. The UEFA Friendship Cup from May 30th to June 11th in Switzerland. So matches against France, Argentina, and Australia. I believe in the group stage there in Group A. So first place team in Group A will face off against the first place team in Group B for the championship. So we'll keep our eye on both Micah and Irvin as well over this break. But man, given who is about to be suspended in 48 hours time, these young bucks, I think, would be the first guys called up, and both of them appear to be unavailable. So congrats to Irvin and congrats to Micah on the call-ups, but it feels like it couldn't be a worse time just in terms of us needing those warm bodies in the midfield for the first team.
Yep. For those not aware, no Ilya, no Sabo coming up here on suspension. So yes, this is quite a predicament, a bittersweet sort of situation. Like you said, congratulations to those dudes, but you probably could have gotten, this call up here to help us out because we're going to need it in the midfield because it's going to be rough with how they play and who they're going to have available this time after this first matchup with them. But congrats to both those dudes nonetheless.
So looking even further down the line, Open Cup quarterfinals are now set. The west side of the bracket, which is, of course, where Austin lies, Tuesday, July 8th. That'll be 9:30 p.m. Central Time, just like our kickoff here on Saturday against San Diego. So it'll be a late one on a Tuesday night, whether you're going out there to San Jose or watching from home here in Austin. But we have a date, we have a time, and the eastern side of the bracket will be the next night. So that showdown is set, and fuck, man, if we keep going this way in the league, this is all we have left. Fucking Open Cup.
Yeah, this is what I'm actually starting to push more chips into at this point and where we sit right now. So looking forward to it. Obviously exciting. I thought maybe, again, this is a San Jose team who gives up a ton of goals. Maybe there's another chance to go ahead and get more than one goal in a game.
And then it is that time of year. And of course, the game and the festivities are here in Central Texas in 2 months' time. So all-star voting is open. So look, go out there every day, put your votes in for the Verde and Black. And goddamn, E, I did not think we were going to be to a point where it's like, we probably don't deserve 2 all-stars, even though every host team gets 2 all-stars. So for me, I think the best strategy to reinforce us getting 2 and not breaking that streak in a negative fashion is get your votes in for Brad and get your votes in for Brandon, because I think those are the only 2 guys you can really pass off as fringe all-stars right now as the home team.
Yeah, no, I was just thinking about when we did over-unders earlier in the season here, off-season, and I think I said what, over
you
2.5?
said over 1.5, but I think I set the line at 2.5. I think because I thought over 1.5 was a lock, and now, god damn it,
yeah, no,
now we're the on pace to be the worst offensive team in league history.
Yeah, I mean, if this game isn't in Austin, I don't think anyone is even considered to be playing in this matchup. And Brandon's had a decent season thus far, but there's been plenty of strikers who are just lighting the scoreboard up right now, and that's what you're supposed to do in that position. So yeah, get your votes in. We're gonna need them.
Yeah, I mean, dude, as good as he's been over the last few weeks, he's still number 1 in goals minus XG. And Mirtu is number 3. So
and last night didn't help his case, that's for sure.
Last night didn't help anybody's case, except for, I guess, Diego Rubio and John Kolmanich, who continues to work magic with that left foot. So there's your news. Let's get into this one. And man, the lineup comes out, and I think it's about as strong as you could expect with where the health of this team is, right? Danny and Robert Taylor and Mikael Dessler off the bench. But you've got your preferred center back pairing right now with Svatok and BHI, flanked by Biru and Galley with Stuver in net. You got Ilie next to Savo, Owen in front of them, and then the DP3 up top with the correct alignment of Buka over there on the right. I can't ask for anything else, man.
Nope. This is the lineup we wanted. This is a lineup that is absolutely 100% wholeheartedly. I can't think of enough adjectives to come up with that this team is fucking better than RSL. Period. We had 3 DPs out there. They had 2 U22s and a bunch of no names. Just guys. You know what I mean? And we're talking about how much we've spent on the 3 guys up front. And they probably doubled, if not tripled, the total spend that RSL had on the field last night, particularly when you take into account that the 2 best players, Marchuk and Luna, don't count against the cap. And it's just like, Jesus Christ, man. This was the game. This was the one. And you could have solidified that the draw versus Vancouver, the draw versus Minnesota were not aberrations, that you were moving in the right direction. And now you took 2 steps backwards because they outplayed us. You know what I mean? It wasn't like we're an unlucky team. Yes. But at the end of the day, we still got outplayed by a clearly inferior club.
Yeah, talent-wise. And at home, no less, man.
And a team that does not play, a team that notoriously does not play well on the road in RSL.
Well, in this one, like I mentioned, we did have a relatively minor rain delay in terms of the actual time, but the rain itself was, it's a historical storm rolling through Austin last night, and it seems like a lot of damage in the path of that storm. I know my dad, for the uninitiated, sent us some pictures, that we saw after the match of his backyard there in Central Austin. Everything kind of turned over, tables and chairs and everything. And I saw Avery Tomasco, who's the meteorologist here for one of the local stations, saying that the rate of rainfall in that storm cell was the 2nd heaviest ever recorded in the United States ever. That's incredible.
It's absolute insanity.
I haven't heard of any injuries or fatalities or anything, which is great because, dude, with sustained winds, you just had a minor hurricane in the middle of May on a fucking Wednesday. I'm glad everybody seems to have made it out okay. But yeah, man, that was wild. So this one finally gets underway. I don't know, the team didn't even know what time kickoff was. They were giving us ranges of kickoff, and I think we went past the given time there. But we'll start off in the 3rd minute where Buka takes a foul on the right side of the 18 there in the north end. And of course, we can't see Austin on the broadcast play it quickly because Apple is deciding to play a replay in that moment. But from what I remember watching it live, Austin gets a corner off playing Galley through to that inline, and it was deflected out. And so that corner gets put into the mixer, and like it looked like live, and it is acknowledged on the broadcast that there could have been a handball there. Yep. There does seem to be a short VAR check, and they're waved on to play. But again, you're coming out at home, coming towards us in the north end, and number 11 is cooking guys already.
Yep.
Osman Bukhari has been great over the last 5-6 games or so.
Yep, and he was absolutely cooking Katranis over there. I mean, he had nothing. He had nothing for Buka, and this was the start of what I thought was a very excellent shift. He obviously should have had at least 1 assist in this game, and in my opinion, probably drew a PK if he decided to go down in that situation. Yeah. But a solid start and nothing to show for it. And again, like we talked about, this team being potentially historically unlucky, and this potential handball in the box here just misses by a few inches, what have you. Some sort of play could have happened here where we could have been at the stripe and feeling really good about ourselves, but lo and behold, nothing to show for it.
15th minute, Austin, I think in these early moments, has had most of the ball. I don't know if the possession was ever really skewed too heavily one way or the other, but no clear-cut chances for Austin, and RSL being very, very compact in their defensive shape. But in this moment, RSL playing it out of the back after Buka got called offside. And there was a great changing ball by Ruiz from left to right that goes over the head of Biru, right? So it breaks that final line, lands to the foot of Markshuk, who's one on Stuver here. And I thought he could have been more aggressive and taken a shot here, but it was a good pass to an open Diego Luna near that back post, and Brandon Hindsight gets a back heel to it. That ball still deflects and finds the head of Luna, and we are very, very lucky that he nods this wide of net and that wasn't the opening goal. I don't know, man. It's just you can't fall asleep like that. And I felt like our line in a couple moments was a little bit higher where we almost got caught out. And if you're not playing a team that is below average, like RSL very much is talent-wise, you're punished for this. And we've seen teams come into Q2 and do that this season.
Absolutely. I mean, this is a easy goal for their best player, the guy that we put a bunch of respect on his name, rightfully so, Diego Luna, a fantastic talent for this league and country as well. But I mean, we talk about getting unlucky. You got super fucking lucky here because he just didn't know where he was, I think, when this ball comes and he tries to hit it to his left there. But I remember vividly seeing this play develop down there in the south end, and I think I was standing up at the moment, and then that ball goes across, and I was just like, well, that's a goal. And I sat down, and then nothing happened, and I looked around and I go, did he not make that?
He missed that?
I remember he said, so you got super lucky here.
The 22nd minute, Austin working it in possession from left to right around the back, and then a great 3-man game to break lines from Gallagher, Ilie, and Owen. And then Wolf is the one that ends up playing Osman, and Osman takes on Katranis and beats him through a foul that doesn't appear to be called. And then he crosses over a sliding Ruiz and plays a beautiful ball that Brandon Vasquez heads right off the bar and up, and then it's ultimately cleared out for a corner. But not only does the bad luck continue, and again, I think you and I were discussing this last night and a little bit today as well before we started recording, you were like, is Brandon Vasquez, is the form that he seemingly found over a couple weeks there, was that a mirage? Because it feels like it's stacking up in your head. The chances that are clear cut that he's not able to put away, even though he's still leading this team in scoring by a very wide margin. Like we said earlier, you see it in the goals minus XG. He is literally missing the most XG of anybody in the league, or at least of the forwards. But what makes this one even more, what makes it sting even more for me on this play individually is that, and I'm not saying that Brandon should not have attacked this ball. He did his job there outside of putting it into the net. But Mirtu Izuni could have walked this in if it gets past Brandon. There's nobody there. Mirtu is in the right spot. And it's just kind of, you're adding this play to the list of chances where the ball lands in between those guys, or one of those guys takes a chance that if it was left alone, the other one would have probably been able to finish. And you're not really seeing the improvement in terms of the chemistry between those two guys. And I don't see where, I know I'm rambling here now, I'm getting into Izuni's positioning and stuff, but like, I don't see how how did he ever play as many games on the wing as, his historical stats indicate? And why were we sold that he can play winger? Because I don't feel like he's ever playing a wing, even though he's technically lined up over there. I know that's a long, winding road to say we missed this shot, but goddamn, man, RSL was lucky we didn't score that one. So I think the level score line was fair at that point.
Yeah, I mean, you look on the FOP mob, this is a 0.64 XG attempt. You go back to the Minnesota game, Boxall had a 0.61. They're basically the same play, but this one is even more wide open. And like I pontificated earlier about why he doesn't bang balls into the ground like we've seen in the past from these goal-scoring threats and talent that we have had and across the league. And again, he sends it high here. I don't know if it could sting worse for me, obviously, because like this was the right play. Like he had to go ahead and make an effort and attempt to put this in the net, but you just have to score it. I don't know what else to say, man. I think I texted you earlier today and was just like, how many layups, dunks can this team miss? And you said, what's that little Homer meme? This is the worst day of my life. You're the worst day of your life so far, I think was pretty much your response, where it's like, it could get worse. And I was like, you know what? I think you're fucking right. But I mean, yes, I guess this is a wash because you walked away from the Luna situation without the goal. But I think if Luna had scored, you at least would have seen a bit more of a response and aggressiveness from Austin at that point in time. But to miss this, man, I don't know what else you're going to be able to do. Like, this is how you win games.
Yeah. I just don't. I think what I said to you was like, I'm scared that we don't yet know the depth of where this team can go in terms of not finishing. Because it seems like we continue to create new ways to not score.
Seriously. Seriously. And this is one of them. This was, this is a dunk, man. I mean, okay, let's talk about some positive shit here. What a play by Buka, obviously.
Vic. I mean,
absolutely.
Highlight reel stuff.
Yeah. Cooking two guys, like embarrassing Rios, I believe it is, right?
No, it was Ruiz who slid
Ruiz,
there.
yes. Getting him to what a ball, and you walk away with nothing.
Mm-hmm. And then in the 31st minute, it's a nice two-man game here between Gallagher and Bukhari, and Osman springs John for a shot from a tough angle, and he just smashes it right at Cabral, which I think was the right decision in the moment. But Cabral, he had a good night. I thought he was pumped up in a couple moments, some big saves, rightfully so. And that gets deflected up into the air and headed back to Cabral. And like, we're getting good things all first half out of that right side with the overloads we're creating. But I think as we progress through the match and we're not able to connect to Mirtu or to Biru on that left side as he was charging in and kind of being added to the mix last night, like it becomes easier to guard as the team is just the opponent is sitting there saying, okay, well, we can just overload to the right too. And now what are you guys going to do?
Yeah, absolutely. And like, you went on that little bit of a wind there with that attempt. And I think so did I, but we talked about the mismanagement of Buka at length, playing him out of position. I'm not saying Mirtu's playing good. Like, I'm not saying he's playing great. You know what I mean? But I still don't think we're utilizing him the way that he wants to play. And like he gets 16 touches last night. And I even thought that was high when I checked it this morning because he was pretty much non-existent the entire night. There was nothing. And he's being guarded by a fucking Next Pro defender.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And like, was with Timbers 2 the last 2 years.
And if we're going to be this team that struggles so much to score, and then on top of that try to be one-dimensional, then you absolutely cannot miss attempts that you missed earlier with that header.
34th minute, Austin again making inroads down that right side. You get Owen playing Osman through into a one-on-one situation with Vera near the end line, and Buka scoots around him on his right foot, and Vera looked like live and on the replay that he grabs a hold of him and kind of takes him to the ground. And Bukhari fights through this and then loses the ball before it's cleared out for a throw. And I do think that your point in the moment last night was, man, if he goes down there, he'd probably get a pen, but he gets penalized because he fought through the contact and stayed on his feet. And I think watching the replay, it would probably be a harsh penalty if it was given there, even if he does go down.
Mm-hmm.
But I do think it's one of those instances where it's a foul anywhere else on the field. So, like, it probably should be called there. And, of course, on the broadcast this morning, like, maybe the play I want to see a replay of the most. Of course, Apple doesn't show this fucking replay because, God forbid, we miss, close-up shots of coaches and players while they're walking to the corner flag. But, I mean, it's another great move by Osman. And he just wasn't rewarded by the official this time. I'm not overly upset about it, but would have been nice.
Yeah, no, I'm not overly upset about it. I guess, I'm still anticipating that we were going to win this game.
Yeah.
You can point to any team on the league and point out the 3 guys who go down in that situation and pretend that they've been shot. So, I can respect the fact that Buka didn't want to do that there. But trying to put a little oomph on the ref, a little onus, like, hey, you're going to eat that whistle or what are you going to do here? Might be a way to generate goals for this team. I don't fucking know.
We'll try anything at this point.
Yeah.
It sounds like Coach will too. 45th minute here, just before half. Austin gets free again on that right side with Owen sliding it out to Gallagher, who's got some space. And he whips across in towards the back post that finds the head of Guilherme Biru, and he puts it down into the ground, but wide of the target. And again, when the chances are so few and far between, like, you got to put this one on frame, man. He can do better. We've seen him do better.
Exactly. You know what I mean? And like we've talked about with at length with Mirtu and guys where it's like you get chances. Nobody expects 100% success rate when you have opportunities. But here we've seen Biru in the past put these home. Like he does it, and he has another one later that's just as rough.
Coming out of the half, no changes for either team, so we'll pick it up in the 58th minute where Austin really here making noise in the offensive third for the first time in the half. Coming out of the break, Salt Lake, until they score, it's not overwhelming momentum, but they were the team on the front foot. And that's where I really started to get upset because you should have had a goal in the first half. Maybe, should have been scored on as well. But, like, this is a team that you should, and with the context of the season at this point, you have to beat. And the level of aggression, and again, you can sit here and talk about the fatigue of the month that we've just been through. Okay, that's great. If that's the case, man, bring the fucking subs on earlier. Yeah. Because we don't get a triple sub. Our triple sub comes 20 minutes after theirs does. And they've had an easier schedule than us. And in this moment, Katranis goes down with an injury as Austin wins a corner. Here's where Salt Lake makes a triple sub. Quentin, Junqua, and Palacio in for Vera, Katranis, and Ruiz. The Austin corner gets headed out to the top of the box right to Ilie. And he has a crack towards goal on the half volley, but he skies it up into the south end and nothing doing. And again, so like here we are 15 minutes into the second half. They've got some fresh legs on there. And in past matches over the last few weeks, we've seen the sub pattern come into question, right? We've seen it be much later in these games that is a little bit eyebrow raising considering the quick succession of these games on the schedule. In some of those games, I don't disagree with Nico where he's saying the team was pushing for a goal. We felt like we were on the verge of either scoring the opener or scoring a second, right? Getting an insurance goal. None of that was on here. Nope. So this is the first game of the month where I really truly have just question marks about the substitution pattern because it did not make sense to what my eyes were seeing.
Yeah, absolutely. And like then Ilie gets the yellow in the 67th. He was on caution. Now he's fucking suspended. Danny was available, ready to go. Bobby Taylor available, ready to go. Dessler available, ready to go. You don't get any of these guys. You get Danny right after the fucking Ilie yellow in the 67th here, man. But like, again, This is not the first game for me of this month that I have been questioning the substitution patterns. Okay. And sometimes I have defended them and said I've appreciated that that Nico wants to trust the guys that he trusts, but we're healthy now. Like this is not that. Like this is not that anymore. We're healthy. We have guys back who are in night out starters, like players that we play and rely on. And when you come out this flat, I mean, we're up in the Lexus Club acting all bougie and shit, getting free beers, taking in the good life, how the other side lives. But you come out flat at home versus a team you 100% should beat. And that's just inexcusable to me again. And like, I don't know what took place in that halftime locker room, but we keep hearing cute little quotes all the time where it's like, we're going to get this going and that going. And it's like, brother, we need to see it. And you didn't come out. And this is where they really solidified that they outplayed us last night.
Yeah. Well, and if I remember this correctly, to Nico's credit a little bit, here in the 67th minute, the sub for Ilie is ready. I believe Danny is ready to come on. He just hasn't had a chance to yet. And in the notes here, it's RSL controlling the pace and possession in the second frame. And seems like we're sitting back a little bit deeper than we were in the first half, which maybe to try to coax them out of their low block that they were sitting in and sitting back even in possession. To open some space for our counterattacks. But in this moment with Diego Luna deking around Ilie, maybe he's going to get suspended anyways. Sabo's not going 5 games without a fucking yellow. But the yellow card that's given here is, you can't argue against that. It's definitely a tactical foul after he got beat by Luna, and Luna stands over it on the set piece and crosses it in just over the head of Ilie to a wide open Willie Agata. And he nods it past Stuver. Stuver gets a touch to it. I don't really blame Stuver. I think if I have to blame an individual here, it's Heinz Ike. Because maybe he's expecting Ilie to peel off of Justin Glad and cover Agata. But that seems a little bit dangerous to me too. Nobody tracks Willie here. Yep. And maybe that's one of the only positives for us on the night is Real Salt Lake scored, and it's the one player that we have on our fucking best ball team, and it's his first goal of the year. So that's our very, very slim concession here. I joke, of course, we would take a negative point we would take a negative score from our best ball team for a goddamn win right now. Yeah. But I think just on the replay, man, I don't think Brendan had a great game, and this was just kind of the cherry on top of it. He had a couple wayward passes in the first half that I thought were very unlike him. So again, I'm not sitting here saying that I think he should be taken out of the lineup or anything. Far from it, but he's had better nights. And now, man, now I'm really mad.
Yeah, pissed. I mean, this is a great ball by Luna. And BHI now, I don't think he played well in the Minnesota matchup. I thought he had a bunch of questionable decisions and questionable plays in that matchup as well. And this one, again, poor communication. And I mean, this is just absolutely brutal here. You get the Ilie suspension, you give them a set piece. They are not lethal on set pieces like we saw versus a Minnesota club. And you get a perfect ball from Luna, and then Agata there to open up we got him right. You know what I mean? We were looking for a get right game. He got right here. And I can't blame Brad on this one. It's a good header. It's a great ball, and it's just poor defense.
Yeah, man. And so then you get Danny coming in for Ilie. So glad to see Pep make his return. But again, I think it's just a minute too late, man.
I wanted to stand up and clap to welcome him back and everything. Right? You know what I mean? I wanted to be excited about him getting back into the lineup, but I'm not clapping at this point. I'm furious right now.
Yeah. 72nd minute, another 3-man game here between Wolf, Bukhari, and John Gallagher on the right side of the area. Of course, now we go down a man. Now we're ready to go and push for a goal and be aggressive. Gally ends up with plenty of space here to serve it on in, and Biru gets to it with his head charging into the 6 near that back post, and he heads it down into the ground, and it bounces up and over the bar out for a goal kick. So, man, the heading the ball down into the ground he had on point last night, but it was just getting it on the damn frame, man. Another one that you probably should have done better with.
Absolutely. I mean, he's got to do better with it. And like, I guess, banking on your left back to go ahead and tie a game up for you versus a
Yeah.
team that sucks isn't a game-winning strategy, in my opinion. But that right side was fantastic all night. And that was basically the highlight for us until you get this miraculous goal late where that right side was really dominated, but still nothing to show from it.
74th minute, you finally get a yellow card to RSL and Xavier Gozo for tripping Danny on a break. And that was his like fourth or fifth foul of the night. I thought he should have. I mean, he was the guy who got the fucking hug from the ref earlier. And what is it with these officials just coddling opponents for clear yellow card offenses over the last couple weeks, man? But it gives Austin a set piece opportunity here. And Wolf's ball in gets put out for a corner, and then Danny takes a corner that's headed out to the opposite side for a long throw in. Before John takes the long throw, Johnny Russell comes in for Dominic Markzuk, and then Johnny's throw is headed away easily by Willie Agata. And man, as these set pieces are stacking up and nothing's coming of it, it's desperate times at the queue.
Yeah, absolutely, man. And, we're getting even more and more frustrated at this point, wondering when this team is going to go ahead and put something behind this backup keeper, who is a backup keeper for this team, 35-year-old, who's just a journeyman at this point. And it's just like the frustration just continues to build. And like, we've been in a much better place, like with the team, obviously, with how we felt about this and thought you could turn the corner here, but still just finding ways to not score goals is what this team does best right now.
Flurry of subs here. In the 80th, you get the triple sub for Austin. Kolmanich, Rubio, and Taylor, who makes his return, in for Biru, Azuni, and Owen Wolf. Then 3 minutes later, you get Obrian in for Bukhari. And then 3 minutes after that, Hidalgo comes on for Agata. On the RSL side of things, in the 89th minute, Austin earns another corner kick, and this one from the near side to the broadcast camera down there in the south end. Kolmanich whips it into the back post where Obrian is pretty damn open here, at least for a set piece, but far enough out that his header, there's just no way he's going to get the power on this header, kind of backpedaling to meet this ball. And it just kind of floats harmlessly to Cabral. And then a minute later, Austin back on the attack with Rubio trying to cross towards BV, who's crashing the net. And that service gets cleared out to the top of the box where Basard Savovich has a crack that bends just over the crossbar and out. And I know we said this the last time he did it, that like he's going to have at least one banger here in Austin. That's just, it's going to blow the top off the stadium. But unfortunately it wasn't last night.
Yep. I mean, I thought a couple of Sabo shots last night had some real pace to them, some real threatening kicks, and just unfortunate here. Would have been a spectacular goal, to be honest. The Obrian play, so wide open. And like you said, he's just not in the right spot for him to get enough oomph behind this ball. And I don't think it was any fault of his own, because it's a great ball. He finds himself wide open, but maybe you have a little time to bring this down. And like give it
a little close.
Yeah, I know. I'm speculating for sure. I'm definitely speculating, but again, just a sign of what this team has been going through all season.
So we get 6 minutes of added time here in the second half, and here in the second minute of stoppage time, you get Johnny Russell tackling Gallagher in the box near the end line. Certainly looked live, like it could have been a pin. Replay in the stadium, I think our conclusion was that Russell got the ball. And I don't think there was a review at all for this. So Austin gets it out for a corner. Kolmanich plays that corner short. It's worked around to the right side where Savovich has a shot on the run, and Cabral makes a great save to give Austin another corner, but preserve that Salt Lake lead. Danny takes this corner very quickly and short to Jean Kolmanich, who's, 5 yards above that left corner of the 18-yard box. And Lefty does what Lefty's been doing, man. Puts it right to Diego Rubio, who just kind of heads it blindly towards the net. Looked like it also took a slight deflection off the Salt Lake defender, but it goes past Cabral into the net for the equalizer. First goal for Rubio since June of last year, which I believe was up a man at Minnesota United. So back on the score sheet here, almost a year to the day. And for the moment, at least, crisis averted, right? Like
Yeah.
you get something out of this match, which you do get credit for, but it's nowhere. I mean, you needed to get 3. And the only thing else that I had in the notes, in the 5th minute of stoppage time, Savage takes out a Salt Lake player on the far sideline. So he's suspended now. And I think in the moment, dude, when Ilie got his card, it didn't register with me. I know we talked about both of those guys being on caution, but it didn't register with me that he got that yellow and would be suspended. But it did right away here with Savage. He's been on caution a little bit longer. And God damn it, man. Like, you could have got it. I don't think that foul was necessary to stop like a goal scoring chance or anything. So like, kind of a frustration foul, I guess. Yeah. Like we fucking need you, man.
Use your fucking head, man. Like, I get it. You're a feisty guy. You like to mix it up. I'm about that. I'm with that. I'll get in the paint with you.
Yeah.
Shout out Waka Flocka Flame. But like, fucking hell, man. You know, and like, we are just about to get out of this month. We're just about to do it. Like, and for you to get this yellow, it's just stupid. It's dumb. Yeah. You know what I mean? And he might still have gotten suspended going forward because of his style of play.
Yeah.
And also, he has been taking a beating, particularly with some of these last games where it's like he's been getting fouled and not getting a ton of calls. But
is it fair to have the same level of animosity for Ilie though? Because he also went up and got himself suspended, and that's the team captain.
Yeah, I'm there. I thought that his was another play where it's just like, what are you doing? But take him off at halftime. You got the 45 out of him. Bring fucking Pep in. Do it. So that's a multi-tiered error here. Want to shout out Kalmanich again for another fantastic performance. These balls that he was putting into space for us eventually avoid disaster, which has become the tagline for this fucking team. Hey, we avoided disaster today. Yeah. Well, okay, that's not going to get you into the playoffs, dude. I want to also jump back because I had forgotten about it. But the goal for San Diego, you see Stuber's reaction. And that was some real frustration and anger out of Brad, which is a very rare sight. Usually, even after we get scored on, he's, come on.
Yeah, he's like,
come on. He was screaming. You know, he was pissed, and rightfully fucking so, because you left him out to dry again. And now you got this San Diego team coming up, boy. And this was a game you had to fucking win, man, and you didn't. You got a point, sure. I guess we can hang our hat on that. But, the Minnesota result.
I ain't hanging shit.
Yeah, I'm with
myself.
Jesus.
Sorry.
But I mean,
it just came out.
I feel you. But like, we had these 2 positive results versus 2 very good teams who we knew were the real deal. And then you have this shit team come into your house and get a point off of you. And they're probably pissed again, especially after they came off a gut-wrenching loss versus Vancouver, where they outplayed them and you walk away with 0. So they got a point here. They stole it. I bet you they feel okay about it. But given the fact that it took a miraculous goal from Diego Rubio off the back of one of their players, where we do get a little fortunate, they might not feel too good about it. But Jesus Christ, man, we keep talking about being unlucky, but 2 things can be true at the same time. You can be unlucky this season, and you can also not be very good. And I think that those are probably the 2 things that are happening for this team right now. You're underperforming all of your goal scoring metrics. The guys you paid to fucking come in here and score goals are not doing that. They're underperforming all of their metrics, and you're still just not that good. And we've had some really shit luck this year, but like, that's part of this, man. That's baked in to going through 34 games in MLS regular season play and finding yourself in a position to be into the playoffs. And now you're sitting in 10th place, and that gap between the teams who are really good and established has grown and has widened itself. It has developed. And even if you score 7 goals versus San Diego on Saturday, which obviously you're not, you're still way off pace from these other teams to be in sort of any sort of relevant conversation about the fact that you can compete with them. So this was really bad, and I was furious, and now I'm getting even more animated again.
52% possession for Austin on the night, 15 shots to 12 in favor of Salt Lake, but 4 on target to 2 for Austin FC. Austin created 4 big chances on Fatmav's model. Of course, missed 3 of them. 7 corners to 6 in favor of the home side. On Fatmav's XG model, 2.07 XG for Austin, 1.74 for Salt Lake. But then you look at the expected goals on target number, 1.65 for Austin to 0.29 for Salt Lake. So, like, I don't think that the result was unfair. I think it is a point earned by RSL and points dropped by Austin, man. And, like, now you're sitting here, 4 straight draws in the league, which, again, like, you can look at it one of two ways. And coming into this one, I was looking at our 3 straight draws. As disappointing as the Atlanta concession was at the end of that match, that you're in better form than you had been over the last 6+ weeks or so. But this was a step back last night, man.
Yep.
It was a draw that, even though we salvaged the draw at the death, still felt like a loss. And
yeah,
you're just, again, like you mentioned, it's far from over. The halfway point is after Saturday's match. And there is a very friendly 9-game stretch later this season where every single team in that 9-game stretch of our opponents are either tied with us on points or below the playoff line. So, like, that's probably where, if you have any chance of jumping up into the top 7 of this conference, again, we can pull up the table right here, like, points wise, it's not dire. You are in 10th now. Yep. And you are what your standings say, ultimately, but you're also 7 points back of second, which basically you're a hot month away from being out, competing in that top 4 once again. But the problem is there's no indication on the field that is coming, because now we're playing these teams like Atlanta, like Salt Lake at home, and you can't get wins.
Yep. I mean, like we've looked at the schedule going forward and been like, yeah, that's favorable. Well, this is one of the favorable ones. This was one of the ones that you should have won and you should have gotten 3 points out of, and you didn't. And again, the second half was a telltale sign for me that this is not just 1 step back. This was 2 steps back, man. Like, we rolled out our choice 11. We were healthy. We had the guys we wanted. And you drop this, and like, I think we're sitting there, I don't know what time it was, 2:00 in the morning, just absolutely ripped playing cards. And I was just like, well, that loss sucked. Just fully thinking in my head, we had just lost that game. You know what I mean?
I said, and we didn't even lose.
Yeah, exactly. I was just like, oh shit, that's right. Well, I mean, this is, we can keep looking towards the future and say, you got this favorable matchup coming up and you're going to have to go ahead and take care of business, but business is not what we have been taking care of as of late, and now you got these 2 suspensions coming up and you're playing a San Diego team that you beat earlier, but we beat them while they were very, very depleted. And this is going to be a tough matchup. This is just disgusting. Yeah, go ahead. Tell the people who aren't on YouTube what this looks like.
Yeah, I mean, you kind of touched on it a few minutes ago, right? Like, looking at the XG totals for this team, 21.4 now. Again, 11 goals scored in the league, which is tied now with St. Louis for last in MLS. And what did St. Louis just do?
What did they just do?
Fired their fucking coach.
Yep.
And I'm not calling for that here, man. But, like, it's happening elsewhere.
And our roster is better than St. Louis.
Yes.
This is the best team we have ever had in this city. It's not even a question. You know what I mean? And we have the magical 2022 season where it's like you hit the ceiling and then you had the most historic luck that we've seen out of Austin ever. But this is the team that was brought in here, the rebuild that took place, the suffering that we had to go through, where it was like, this was the light at the end of the tunnel. And I know there's going to be more moves coming, and this is not a complete full roster yet, where it's like, this is exactly what Roto wants. But like, this is the best team talent-wise we've ever had, and you're underperforming your XG by 10 fucking goals, man. And like, you look at these other teams around us, right? Timbers less XG than us, 14 more goals than us. Pretty much tied with Cincinnati, 13 more goals for them.
It's just even and so for those not watching on the YouTube, what we're looking at here is the middle third of teams in the league in terms of XG. So that is between Inter Miami at 11th with 25.1 XG and Portland at 20th with 21.1. Austin is 19th. But you look at the rest of this list, Colorado is underperforming their goals XG by 4.1. They still have 18 fucking goals.
Yep.
Like, it is an incredible underperformance that you cannot push this away and sweep it under the rug saying it's bad luck. It's not.
Nope.
You guys are not playing well. And like you said earlier, both of those things can be true. And I thought you're spot on here. Add 7 goals to this total. Then you're still tied with Colorado for the most underperforming teams in this group.
Yep.
And that's crazy. Because
Insane.
we've only scored 5 goals in a game twice, and it was 3.5 fucking years ago, back to back.
Yeah. Bro, we have less goals than Montreal now. They don't even have a fucking DP on their roster.
I know.
They don't even have one DP on their roster. They got more goals than us right now. And it's just, I don't, and like I was texting some group chat earlier and we're all just commiserating and miserable. And there is not like there's a window coming up. Yes. But there is not a player out there who is A, available, B, wants to come here, and C, somehow fits into our roster designation and salary cap stipulations that is going to be the savior for this team, and to be underperforming this much with this club is not on one person, just as we have stated in the past when we had to go through the Wolf saga with that, and that it wasn't just one guy. But like Nico is not getting the most out of his players. He's just not. And it's not even just the most out of them. He's not getting the baseline of what these guys are capable of doing. I mean, go through the mere 2 fucking XG or XG per 90 that he had that you brought up earlier before we went on there, where he's sitting at 0.08 right now for us.
That was his actual goals scored. So like we were going, and it was our buddy Kevin Morris who kind of tipped me off to looking at Mirtu's stats on FBref, but his per 90 goals rate for his career was like 0.44. He was right at that line or above it in La Liga 2, and in La Liga I think he was 0.4, and now it's 0.08, and the XG totals are very similar to what he had in La Liga. And you bringing up, Nico and invoking the name of our former coach, like I think that if we still had Josh Wolf coaching this team, I think the team is in the same spot, but it's a lot more fun to watch. We're going to score.
Look, man, I'm not going to speculate on that. I'm not. You know what I mean?
But it's just like this is where you're at with the halfway mark 48 hours away.
It's fucking
It's a disappointment straight across the board.
100%. It is. And like we talked about, Olaf Melberg just got canned.
Yeah.
Like they can't score. They're sitting below us. But Jesus Christ, man, like I want to hear something out of Roto's mouth personally. And he doesn't owe me shit. And that does not mean that he needs to go out and say something. But like I personally want to hear what his assessment of the first half of this season has been for this team, because you're right. Right now, we're hanging our hat on 2 things. Please win Open Cup so we can just say that this season was not a complete failure and loss. And you have a favorable schedule on the back half of this, and some of these Western Conference opponents who have been able to avoid some of the top tier teams should cannibalize themselves, and you do have an opportunity. And, you had a great little thing, which I hadn't heard in the article that you wrote here over at the northendpodcast.com, doing some editorial work as always.
E is for editor.
Matters little till September. Yes.
I didn't create that. But
I know I didn't, but I'd never heard that. You better fucking hope so. Like you better hope that is true. Whoever coined it, you better hope it's true, because that's what you're going to have to get hot. And there is no inclination that you're going to get hot. And once again, you're 1 goal away from your ceiling being a point. You're 1 goal away from your ceiling being a point in a game. And like, that's just not a winning strategy. So like, I don't know if that seat's hot right now. And yes, I am not in that camp of get them out, but this is a huge disappointment to be sitting here, even despite how brutal that month was. And like, this kind of makes the Atlanta game a wash, right? Because we just had this miraculous kind of goal to just kind of fall into our lap, which they did as well. So like even that now, none of this, by not winning this game, all of those draws, you have to look at them with negative sentiment, in my opinion now.
Yeah. I mean, I still think you should have won Vancouver. You were the better team.
Yep.
I still think they played really well against Minnesota. on the road. But and even shit, man, I would take the loss last night if we could have got the 3 against Atlanta, because it's an additional point in the goddamn standings, and then we're still above Houston. Now they're above us on tiebreaker. And Houston can go to NYC, play on a fucked up field at Yankee Stadium without their DP striker. Jack McGlynn takes no shots. Thanks a lot, Jack. And they still score 3 and win 3-0 on the road.
Yep.
It takes us a month to score 3 goals.
Seriously. It is.
Dude, fucking Nico's in the, and I know he's joking in the press conference, but like even talking about doing a Ted Lasso curse breaking ritual, like it's not cute to me, man. It's not.
I did not laugh.
Too much fucking work into supporting this team, and I know that there's tens of thousands of people that feel the same way. Mm-hmm. It's so goddamn frustrating. Figure it the fuck out. And I said the same thing like 8 weeks ago, and we're still here.
Yep. And I was so, and like, I feel like I have been a bit more positive as of late, and I was so ready to turn the corner with this team. Like, you had the 2 results and we framed them as positive things where it's like, and they were, because we did play well, but you still didn't fucking win. Yeah. Right. And now this happens and you did not turn the corner. The corner is now away from us, because this game versus San Diego on Saturday, man, I'm nervous we might get our shit kicked in. Yeah. Personally, I really am, because like there is just the positivity, the vibes are not great, and on top of that, you see the product on the field and it doesn't look proper.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. Skipping through a couple sports books here, we are big underdogs on the road out there in San Diego this weekend. So unless you have anything else to add on last night's match, we can go ahead and move on and preview Saturday.
Yeah.
I did want to mention this off the top. Los Verdes announced on their social media that they will have an impromptu watch party on Saturday night starting at 8:30. Kickoff for the match is 9:30 for the San Diego game. This will be over at Hop Squad, right? So we're going back to the roots here. Indoor screens, multiple indoor screens. You got food out there at Doughboys, all ages, free parking over there at Hop Squad. So I just wanted to briefly mention that watch party, because I know it's short notice, and I think a lot of Verdes right now could use some of that camaraderie that comes with being a part of this community. So if you are in town, you need a place to watch the match, you can go over there to Hop Squad starting at 8:30. But we also have a large contingent, I think the largest travel contingent of any match, going out to San Diego. So we actually have a report from the North End Pirates, who set sail immediately after the draw last night. They arrived, they docked in San Diego this morning. So we've got Brian from the North End Pirates giving you a little preview. If you are headed out to San Diego, you'll want to listen to this.
What's up, all my Verdes? This is B with the North End Pirates on behalf of the North End Podcast, coming at you live from San Diego here in beautiful Balboa Park. Bit of an overcast day, but that's not going to ruin our spirits. We're going to have a great time. And if you happen to be in San Diego for this game, we got some amazing things going on. So I wanted to inform you guys with everything going on. First, we're going to start off with tomorrow, Friday, May 30th. There is going to be a pickup soccer at Chicano Futsal in Chicano Park, which is in Barrio Logan. That's going to be from 5 to 7. The club is sponsoring that, so if you want to get some touches in, come out and play futsal over at Chicano Park from 5 to 7. From 7 to 9 that day, there's also going to be a fan-organized meetup with the local San Diego supporter group, the Riptides, at Hopnonymous Brewing. And then from 8 to 10, there's going to be a club-sponsored post-pickup social at Tom's Watch Bar over on J Street, very close to Petco Park. Now, Saturday, game day, we're going to start early at 11:30 a.m. to go see the Champions League final over at Shakespeare's Pub. We'll be there from 11:30 a.m. to 2 p.m. to watch that final. And then afterwards, we're all heading over to Cafe Coyote from 3 to 5 to pregame and over there at Cafe Coyote. And then we'll take the Verde trolley line from Cafe Coyote to Snapdragon Stadium, and the kickoff is at 7:40. So get ready. Now, if you still happen to be in town on Sunday at 2 p.m., there is a large group of Verdes going over to Petco Park to watch the Padres take on the Pirates. First pitch there is at 2 p.m. Now, at all of these activations by the club, they're going to be giving away some signed authentic Dillo kits. So if you happen to be at Chicano Futsal at 6 p.m., they're going to be raffling away a Brandon Vasquez jersey for you. And then over at Tom's Bar at 9 p.m., there's going to be a signed Osman Bukhari jersey being raffled away. And then also at Cafe Coyote at 3:30 p.m. on Saturday, there's going to be raffling away a John Gallagher jersey. So be sure that you're there, and all you have to do to enter these raffles, y'all, is simply check in with one of the front office guys, make sure that the name is added, that your name is added to the list for a chance to win that giveaway. Hope everybody has amazing, safe trips if you're coming out to San Diego. If you're staying at home in Austin, there's going to be some wonderful watch parties, so be sure that you stay in tune. Also, if you want to get part of the WhatsApp group, if you're here in San Diego, hit up the North End Pirates on Instagram, and we can give you that link to the WhatsApp group. Thanks, y'all. Hope you have a great day. Safe travels.
So thanks to Brian for sending that along this morning. I thought that was a great idea. So you get a little rundown of what the hundreds of Austin FC fans will be up to out there in San Diego. So go participate in all that. And I know you will, but cheer your hearts out there, man. Cheer your hearts out at Snapdragon Stadium because this one, like I mentioned, kickoff probably around 9:40 Central Time here. I know you are on the match preview. The written article here for the preview will be posted on Friday at thenorthendpodcast.com. But talk to us a little bit about what San Diego's been doing since we saw them last. Again, the only team in the league out of the 16 games that we managed to score multiple goals on. And it came with, I think 6 or 7 minutes of each other. What a glorious 10 minutes that was.
It was a fantastic 10 minutes. And since that point, San Diego has been really kicking ass, sitting in second place in the Western Conference here. 27 goals. They have Anders Dreyer, who has 12 goal contributions, which is more than our entire team has this season. So that should let you know how it's going. Again, this is their first year in MLS. If you missed the first preview or not privy to what's going on with San Diego FC, but this is their first season in the league. And once again, like the last expansion team we saw come into this league, they're experiencing a very, very nice start to their campaign as a club moving forward here in MLS. As I mentioned, sitting in second place. They did drop their matchup last night versus Seattle 1-0 up there in Washington. So this is a team, man, that loves to have the ball. They like to be in possession. So a very different style that we've seen as of late with some of these matchups we've had, particularly with Minnesota, who is on their heels right now, still tied with points with them. But San Diego has been fantastic. Their last 5, you get a 2-1 win over St. Louis, a 2-0 win over Colorado, draw with SKC, 2-1 victory over LA Galaxy, teams that they should beat. Well, look what they did. They went ahead and they beat them. And then you get a tough contest up there away at Lumen Field, a difficult place to play. They're paced, like I said, by Anders Dreyer, who is a fantastic left foot. Saw him in that first matchup. I believe he got the goal for them.
It was De La Torre, but Dreyer was dangerous. He had like 8 shots in that match. He was really dangerous.
Yes, that left foot looked really good. Yeah. Chucky Lozano, who is an absolute legend, has been enjoying a hell of a start to his San Diego tenure here. 5 goals, 4 assists for 9 total. But you look at the rest of this roster, and like I have a bit of pause, right? Because you hated St. Louis a lot in their first season and said they're a bit of frauds. But we did take a look at their roster, how they built it, and we thought that they were kind of set up for sustained success. I think firing Carnell was a huge mistake for them and really set them back. And now you've repeated that process with Melberg. I've gotten a bit off topic here, but they have guys right there in that TAM bunch, that TAM grouping that we know is missing from Austin FC. You get Luca De La Torre, who's fantastic. Obviously, Patty McNair, fantastic defender who was not available in the first matchup. They were missing quite a few guys. But for me, man, his fucking name. I even looked it up before we jumped on here, and I was looking it up again. Jeppe Sverskov.
Yeah. He gave
Fantastic
us fits
player
last time.
Yep. Yeah. And like, if you look at their stats right now, I mentioned those guys who are scoring goals. Jeppe there is their highest.
My name's Jep. I think you said last time.
is their highest rated player on FOTMOB, and like, take that with a grain of salt. Obviously it's a FOTMOB rating, but you see him, he pops out on the field when he's out there. He played very well versus us. And I've been able to watch a couple of their, I think, halves of their team, and they're exciting. They play an exciting brand of football. Like you said, they're in possession quite often, but they get up and down. And when you got two guys like Chucky and Dreyer there, you can score some goals, which they have been doing. So I'll throw this off to you. Unless we want to do a little history thing? Because we did it the first time.
We did it the first time. I feel like we just leave it. First time every year, you get the history lesson here in the North End. So you can roll back to, I don't know what episode that was, but you can
go back and listen to it, you lazy bums. We ain't getting it again.
Well, you mentioned, Sverskov and Dreyer, but I think, I also remember Oni Valakari being dangerous in their midfield with Luca De La Torre there. You mentioned, Chucky Lozano is back. He was out with injury last time. Paddy McNair was out on international duty. They're still missing Marcus Ingvartsen, who's one of their TAM forwards there, but he's been out since we saw them last. So, they've been just fine without him. Since we saw them last, they've got 19 points from the 11 matches that they've played, with wins, like you mentioned, over LAFC, over Seattle, and a 5-0 victory over FC Dallas. They do have losses to Colorado and Charlotte and Seattle as of last night on the road. Also lost to RSL at home. So San Diego has been far from perfect, but they've been good enough to be sitting squarely in second place with a +9 goal differential here. They're only conceding 1.1 goals per match right now, which I believe is just right behind us. I think we're third, they're fourth in terms of best in goals conceded per match. You mentioned second in possession league-wide. They want to have the ball. They want to ping it through that midfield, and that's where I am just extremely concerned headed into this one. And seventh in XG. So these guys, again, and they are converting. They have 27 fucking goals on the season. This is what a team looks like when they can finish and defend. And look, man, it feels like this could be us if we could finish. Right? Sure. And if you could finish and you sprinkle a little bit of good luck in there, again, you could be identical to this team in terms of the results, in terms of where you're sitting in the standings. But this team executes, man. And I have no reason to believe that they're not going to continue doing that against us on Saturday. They rotated last night a little bit. They brought Lozano off the bench. He was on yellow card accumulation caution. He makes it out of there scot-free, which we couldn't do. So, they're going to be as ready to go as one can be here closing out the month of May. We are rightfully underdogs here. I don't feel great about it.
No, I do not feel good about this at all. This is one of the games. The feeling I had walking into Q last night was definitively 3 points. We're getting it. This one, you're going to have to get lucky or fortunate, in my opinion. They're just a much better team than we are right now. Just the way we talked about RSL before they came to play us. Yeah. They are in that situation where it's they are a much better team than us. Mickey Varas there on the Gaffers got him playing well. Like you said, 27 goals, 27 expected. Second in possession, but they also can guard. And those TAM guys, they get a lot out of them. And then the two goal scoring threats and Chucky and Dreyer do their jobs and score goals. And like you mentioned, that left foot of Dreyer was a real threat to us in that first game. And he looks for his shot. It's very quick. He gets that ball into his left foot, just a little bit of space, and it's coming off. And he's got a little spin on it. And that's a difficult thing for a keeper to handle. But this team, man, again, we talked about Vancouver not being fake, talked about Minnesota not being fake. I don't think that this team is fake. I think that they're well built, they're well coached, and they're performing right now. So I am incredibly nervous. You can take into account the suspensions of both Ilya and Sabo, and it's going to be rough, tough sledding in that midfield. And I guess we can get in. I'm bleeding into Austin here because I don't have much else to add about San Diego unless you do.
No,
But
I mean we can talk about us. I think it starts in the midfield here with no Sabo and Ilie, like you mentioned. Like,
yep.
I think that as long as you're going with the 4 back, right? And it could be a 5, but if it's a 5, like who are your 2 midfielders? Is it Owen and Duber? And like, are we're gonna go down a midfielder with that formation against a team that wants to beat you the fuck up in the midfield? Like, I don't know if that's the answer that you can get away with here. Again, leaving that decision up to the people who get paid to make them, but it gives me pause thinking about how they hurt us and carved us up last time. Again, it didn't come off in a result for them, but going back and watching that game a little bit, like they're very impressive, and they weren't full strength then either.
Yeah, exactly. That's the big thing for me is that, after we got those 2 quick goals in succession there, they were on our ass for the most of the rest of that game. I do think that we're going to see the 5 back. And I think that's partially because that's Nico's bread and butter, right? For like these road matches and like these teams that we think are much more high powered offenses than we are. You saw it versus Cincinnati. You saw it versus Minnesota. But I do think that some of the midfield, losses can be mitigated because I think Dessler's starting. He didn't play.
He has to.
I think he's starting.
That's the only answer for why he did not play last night.
That's the only acceptable answer in my opinion, unless something else happened. That he's
setback.
Yep, he's starting on Saturday here, and then you can try to get 60 out of him, and maybe you bring Johnny in for him, or you switch that formation entirely. But I think when you pair with the fact that Komanic has looked very good, probably this is the best run of form he's had since he's been here. So I am okay getting that 5 back alignment in where it's him and Biru paired on that left side. But yes, the focus is going to be on the midfield. And I think it's probably Owen and Pep, just because that is the most talented duo that you can put together right now with these other guys missing. I'm not saying it's the most ideal, but we do know Pep can go ahead and get physical on that midfield and take some guys and like really take them out of the game. From a tactical standpoint, not a physical standpoint. Right. But I think that's where it's going to be if you're looking at that 5 back with those 2.
Oh, we're just going to be fucking pinned back, dude. If we run that 5 back, we're just going to, I mean.
And
I think like it's because there's no Sabo and no Ilie, I feel like you almost have to get Dubasarski out there. You've got to have somebody that's going to destroy in that midfield. And again, he's under-experienced, I would say, not inexperienced, but he doesn't have a ton of MLS minutes yet. Just made his first start, a week ago in the league.
And I think he has looked better as of late. I agree.
He's been fine.
Some things have clicked. Things are starting to process in that brain there. Where it's like, this is what I need to do. So we
should see that. We paid fucking over $1 million for. I mean, it was $2-3 million for the kid. I think
it was.
That goes under discussed. That goes under the radar because of the DP tags.
Yeah, absolutely.
The price tags.
Yep, a lot of guys have been getting away with stuff because we've been underperforming as a whole, particularly from the stars on this team. You have some depth now too. We know Robbie Taylor can play a little bit of that midfield if needed. So like we can get some rotation there. But if it's a 4-3-3, what are you anticipating? Are we rotating some of these DPs now? Like
maybe. I mean, BV did play the full 90. But he's also going, this is a homecoming game for him. So, like, I don't see how there's any way that he doesn't start this one. I feel like the DP should be ready to go here. But again, you could get Robert Taylor in there. You could get Hot Air O'Brien. And I'm not turning my nose up at any of that because it's dire right now from a personnel standpoint, because even though we are basically fully healthy as that trio of guys starts to get back to full fitness, but you kneecapped yourself with the 2 midfielders getting suspended.
Yep, absolutely. And just a quick thought that kind of popped into my brain here, right? Like if you do some rotation and you go ahead and you start Robbie Taylor on the left wing, which we've seen, does that give you a bit of a better opportunity to get something going here? And then you can get BV off and make a 1-for-1 like-for-like swap with him and Mirtu, where you can put Mirtu in the striker position and see if he can perform there, or vice versa, start Mirtu and let BV come on. But like you said, homecoming game here for him. It's just an interesting situation because nothing's working right now. Nothing is working in terms of scoring goals. And obviously, if Dessler gets this start, then you'll have Johnny off the bench that you can move around a little bit and does give you a bit more flexibility in regard to what type of formation and structure you want to run, depending on this game script here. But I definitely just would not be shocked to see this 5-back and see this team be pinned back all game and hope that you can just keep them off the scoreboard and walk away with the point.
The counters came off in the first meeting, right? That was a game we should have had 3 or 4 goals.
Yes. I mean, that's the game where we're calling for 5, right? That's where it all started.
That was the game. Yeah.
5.
So maybe we got to hang out with TJ on Saturday and call for no goals. And now that's what will break the curse.
We're talking about fucking curses, and I do want to go back to that because I didn't laugh. That wasn't cute.
Yeah, I didn't. You got anything else on this one?
No.
Is Austin FC winning on Saturday?
No, I don't see it. 2-0 San Diego.
Ooh.
You say
3-1. It just hurts, man. It hurts.
I mean,
they've taken your joy from you.
Yeah, I mean, it might be 2-0, and you might feel good about it, given how these two teams look right now.
Oh, fuck me, man. I got 1-1. I think we can get one on the counter. I do think that these guys, one thing that I don't think they lack is pride. I think we're going to see a response physically from the guys that are out there because we've seen it, right? We've seen them exemplify that against Vancouver and against Minnesota. And that was a huge letdown last night, even salvaging the point. So to turn around here and put in a good effort, I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt and say we come away with another draw. And I would take that at this point, man, like on the road, but you have to start stacking up the points at home, and you are getting so damn close to the line with your home record to where you're just historically not very likely to be out or up in there in the top 7.
Yeah, I mean, we're benefiting a little bit, right, from Western Conference that does look a bit weaker than it has as of late.
Oh, yeah.
We talked about the historic kind of teams getting in or missing, and depending on what slot they were in last season. Yeah. But you are benefiting from a Western Conference that is a bit watered down. But like you look at those teams in the middle of the patch, right, like LAFC sitting 6. We're 3 points behind them, but we know the quality of that club and what they can do. So you do have a bit of something that's another small light that we can look at, but you have to start stacking points. And I just don't think this is the game you're going to do it.
Yeah, well, fuck. 2-0 loss for E. 1-1 draw for me.
Hey.
Don't care how you get it done, boys. Try to find a way. Bring us back 3 points.
Come on down to Palmer Field where the champions play. Get ready for the game. It's my business day.
Last business day on episode 228 of the North End podcast, and it is a big one on Friday at Palmer Field. Kickoff for this one set for 7:30 out there at St. David's Performance Center. Houston Dynamo 2 coming to town. This will be the 8th all-time meeting between these two clubs. Austin FC 2 has the leg up with 4 wins to Houston's 3. The two teams have never split points, and Houston 2 has still never gotten a result from Palmer Field. So you got to feel good about this one from a historical perspective. Both of these teams are going to bring the energy. Houston did get the better of Austin earlier this season on April 27th. That was the match that Stephen Cleveland started in net. And I believe CJ or at least Riley Thomas stayed down and played that one, or stayed in Houston rather. Dynados, 17 points from their 10 games as we bring up the table on the YouTube. We're these teams are only separated by 5 points, and Austin does have a game in hand. But to illustrate how jam-packed things are still in the Western Conference of Next Pro right now, Houston 4th, Austin 13th separated by 5 points. And of course, Austin with a game in hand on most of the teams above them in the table right now. 17 goals for, 13 conceded for Dynados for that +4 goal differential. They are winless in 3 straight matches after winning 5 of their first 7, of course, including that 2-1 victory over Austin. Led in goal contributions by number 18, Diego Gonzalez. He's a Houston Academy product, but he's 22 years old, no first team contract yet for Gonzalez. He's got 3 goals and 2 assists. And Exxon Arzu, who we know well, is a senior roster player, I believe, for Houston. He wears number 7, playing with their second team. He's a hothead, man. He's very physical, but very talented for this level. 3 goals on the season for Arzu. He started 9 of the 10 games for Dynados. Number 19, Sebastian Rodriguez, is a 17-year-old homegrown. He's got 2 goals, as does my guy, Steven Anorgiamfi, wearing the number 9, 2 goals in just 3 starts this season. So the Ghanaian Generation Adidas player there, starting to find some footing at the next pro level. But talking about us, man, like, we should see Riley Thomas. Do we see CJ? And as I say that, I think the answer is definitely no, because you talk about homecoming games. You would think CJ is on that plane for this first team match on Saturday. But with the first team missing the midfield depth, are you replacing that with Riley Thomas? Because you need 2 bodies. CJ is one of them, right? Doesn't help you with the midfield depth, but I think he gets the call. With Irvin and Micah presumably unavailable here, do we see a short-term call-up for a Jorge Alistue or even an Adrian Gonzalez, man? I don't know, but like, I'm not shocked to see one of those guys called up, because if it's not CJ and Riley, then you're leaving an empty bench spot, and that never feels good.
I mean, I just don't know where we would go, right? Like, Alistue popped into my brain here, the mind fortress.
Jacobaro, maybe. He's been fine.
Yep. But like, I just don't know where you're going to go here. And like you said, I definitely anticipate CJ on the first team here, going to San Diego. But this is a fun matchup. And these teams don't like each other. This has been a nice little rivalry here, as you mentioned. Never drew a match. It's always been win-loss. I'm just too goddamn depressed to go watch more Austin FC soccer. So I haven't made it up to the pitch. I do want to, and this would be a good game to go ahead and do that. But like, this is going to be a challenge for Utley and his crew to go ahead and fill out their roster as well, because like you said, Micah, no Irvin, and we had just started to feel good about getting those guys back into the rotation here. Obviously, going and playing for your nation is much more important. But you're going to have a challenge here, and like you said, they have some guys on this team. Your boy, Steven Anorgiamfi, for sure. He'll never not be your boy, apparently.
I mean, dude, he's got an honorary award in the North End every year, right? He's my guy in the draft.
Yeah, man, they're gonna have to get creative. I don't know if Riley Thomas is the right answer to bring up for the first team. I still want to see him get minutes, real minutes and real games, and like, this is his opportunity to do that. So a challenge for the staff.
Unless you got anything else to add here, man. How much is Austin FC 2 winning by on Friday?
I'll go 2-1 here for Austin at the Palmer at the pitch. Great crowd. You should be amped up. Should be packed, because obviously not only is it usually packed, but this rivalry matchup with Houston coming to town here, you're gonna have to find a way. We're talking about the guys that they've missed, but you're still gonna have Jimmy there. You're still going to have Grogan. You're still going to have Bonacheri. You're still going to have some guys who are some good players. And Charlie's been great in net thus far, and I think he's given them a bit of a spark. So I'll go 2-1 Austin.
I'm also on a 2-1 for the good guys here. Hasn't been often that we've scored multiple goals, but no better time to get 2 on the board than against your biggest rivals. So 2-1 for both of us. Don't care how you get it done, boys. Just bring us home 3 points. And closing out episode 228E really quickly, still compiling these scores from the best ball midweek, but we do have the results from the week 16 picks. I don't think we recapped the week 15 picks over the weekend. Took a bath. I think lost almost 6 units at the books. Didn't hit on the underdog entry. Again, the secondary plays came through nicely. So then on Wednesday, the underdog entry does not come through for us and was nerfed, of course, with Lozano not getting the start there. But you go to the books, you get Inter Miami to win, and the over hits in that match 6 goals in Miami, Montreal. Philly plus 130 on the road. NYC doesn't come through, and neither does the Austin and Galaxy parlay. But the goal scorers save us on the night. We attacked Nashville with Columbus shorthanded on defense. Both Surge and Hani Mukhtar get their goals, as does Georgi Mihailovic. So, 2 of those goals given points to the North End best ball team as well. But when all is said and done, on Wednesday night, we added back basically what we lost over the weekend, plus 5.67 units. So plus 11.55 units at the books through 16 weeks, plus 9.71 units on Underdog Fantasy. And that's your reminder to sign up for Underdog. The MLS season is here. If you want to make some picks on your favorite players in sports, check out Underdog Fantasy's Pick'em game. You choose higher or lower on between 2 to 8 players, and you can win up to 1,000 times your entry. Underdog is available in 33 states, including right here in Texas. To sign up, click the link in the description of this video and use promo code NORTHEND at sign up, and you'll get up to $1,000 in bonus cash and a free pick to get you started. So join the millions of fans who have won billions on Underdog. Link to sign up at Underdog in the description of this episode. Whether you're watching on the YouTube channel or listening to the audio version, you click on that link, promo code NORTHEND at sign up. You get that bonus cash, you get your free pick. Then you come back to the northendpodcast.com on Friday for the match preview article, on Saturday morning for the week 17 picks, and hopefully continuing to add to our total there. Anything else for you before we shut it down on episode 228?
Hey, look, man, for as shit as Austin's been, we've been great on the bets. So if you want to go ahead and try to mitigate some of your depression watching this team play, you can win some money and then spend it at the queue.
All right, everybody. We appreciate you tuning in, sticking with us here on episode 228 of the North End Podcast. We will be back on Sunday to close out Marathon May by recapping Austin FC's trip out to take on San Diego FC, recapping the second team's matchup against Dynados, and talking about everything else that happens in the Austin FC universe between now and then. Enjoy the rest of your week, everybody. Get your all-star votes in. We will do the same. We'll see you back here on Sunday for another episode of the North End Podcast. Until then, he's E, and I'm Zach. Vamos Austin FC, everybody. Goodbye.